Good morning, listeners, and we welcome very much to our second episode of Universal Energies, Mr. Neal Sutton. Before we get into anything, Neal, I will just explain that this is the second episode, as we said, of this maybe controversial show asking questions of people's faiths and beliefs in a discussion later on throughout the series of maybe people didn't want to ask, don't like to ask, because we don't want to rock any boats. But we just need to know that we are all as one. No matter what our beliefs, faiths or understandings are, we're here at this moment to respect each other, to work with each other, whether it be on the healing level, on the understanding of compassion level, in our everyday lives or our spiritual lives. So I say good morning again, Mr. Sutton, Neal.
Good morning, Rob.
We know, or you have told me, and I have seen that you have written and produced a book.
I have.
Before we get into that, you've also got another one that is coming out, I believe.
It's being edited now.
It's being edited. Right, so first of all, let me ask you, is this second book based on the first or totally different?
It follows on from the first. The first one was a history, and the next one is all about why we're here.
Why we're here. Right, okay. So let's concentrate on the first book, shall we? I want to know why you wrote it.
Why I wrote the first book? Well, the first book is called Buried by the Church, and I wrote it because from an early age I've always known that I had a kind of a foot in both worlds, as it were. And I, quite young, got the inkling that religion hadn't got it quite right, and that there wasn't all this being of a devil, there wasn't a hell, and there wasn't demons and things like that. That the universe itself is all about love, kindness, compassion, and the difference between spirituality and religion is quite vast. Religion it encourages group think. It relies on group think, it relies on compliance, it relies on everybody thinking the same thing, and subservience. And if you don't obey, then hell awaits, and that's not right. Spirituality is all about awakening yourself to the energies of the universe. You can start off that by going into nature and just sitting and just being at one with it, and you'll find the universe will open up to you, and it becomes then a building of awareness, and you get, in the end, and if you're really, really good, really, really lucky, and you keep on it, you get a state of knowing. You develop a state of knowing that you don't get with religion. Religion is all about subservience and all about faith. You must have faith. But with spirituality, you have a state of knowing, and that's entirely different.
So you would say that you don't really have to have faith to have spirituality or be spiritual?
Not at all, not at all. If you're deeply spiritual, things come to you. You know things, and you can experience things through spirituality. There are lots of people who do, like mediums, who can see those the spirit world. Lots of people are quietly given proof of the spirit world. And of course you can't convince people, because you can't tell people that spirituality is it, and you can't prove it to people because they have to seek it for themselves. It's a personal thing. It's absolutely a personal level. You have to seek spirituality, to sit in nature and be at one with it, and be at one with the energies of the universe. And the nature energies are the first ones you come to.
That is very much so, the way I think. But would you agree that maybe everybody has to go down the road of doctrines of religion to find their own spirituality?
I think everybody's path is different, and they have to find it in their own way. Some never do. Some live with religion until the day the body dies. But I would like to think that everybody would eventually find spirituality and be free of the dogma of religion, which enforces subservience through guilt and groupthink.
So are you saying that there's a difference between religion and spirituality?
Definitely.
Right.
You can be spiritual, but if you're spiritual, you don't want to be, and you can't be religious. You really can't.
Just
work.
define that a bit more.
Well, because with religion, you're into the group think, you're into the group beliefs, and they teach you to believe. But with spirituality, if you get into spirituality and you get into the nature energies and you start to see things for yourself, and stuff from the universe is, stuff for want of a better term, from the universe is given to you in your mind, and you know things to be true, then you don't need belief anymore, because you have a state of knowing, and that's entirely different. And the things that religion teaches you to believe in, all right, I'm being controversial, they're wrong. They're quite wrong. No hell, no devil, no demons. The universe isn't like that.
I quite understand what you're saying. Well, I'd like to know about the research you put into this to find out and to get to where you are now.
For the book, you mean?
For the book, yes, we'll start with the book.
I did an awful lot of research. I did a lot of reading, first of all. I read stuff like Holy Blood and Holy Grail. And I read several more books. And I started to piece together a jigsaw. Also, I started to get stuff myself, which some people say, well, it's just my mind, but the mind is used by spirit all the time.
Yes.
And as I read the various books and did the research in the libraries and searching way back through time, a certain picture started to emerge, and that with the stuff I hate the word channeling, but that happened.
Yeah.
That coupled with a picture started to emerge, and pieces of the jigsaw started to get put together.
Right.
And where there were little gaps in that jigsaw, the stuff that was coming to me was filling those gaps, but it fitted with every piece around. So I knew that it had to be right. And gradually I started to write things down. It was about the real life of Jesus Christ, why he, the person we call Jesus Christ at the moment, why he was here, what he did for real, not what the Bible will tell you, and his wife Mary Magdalene, who was indeed herself a high priestess at the Temple of Isis in Egypt. Nothing to do with the Isis that's about now.
No. I do understand that. And I very much resonate with what you're saying, because studying the Egyptian way, the Egyptology and all that, hieroglyphics and that kind of thing, and speaking on that myself, I do understand. Would you say that everybody needs to do their own research to find out their own beliefs?
I think so, yes. I think they have to start off by probably getting into religion in some way, if they want to, but then they have to go one step further and question that religion. Because when I started to research into the Bible, I discovered that it was all put together from lots of Gospels that were back in 325 AD by the Council of Nicaea, and Constantine, the Roman ruler at the time. And lots of things were added, lots of things were taken away, lots of Gospels weren't used, and forms of service were laid down, when you should stand, when you should sit, and Jesus' words were altered. And what is now the Roman Catholic religion was born. Everything else was declared heretical, and that was the Orthodox, and there was to be no deviation. But you see, it was all about control, and it has been ever since. But the earlier Gospels are quite different. The earlier Gospels, there have been several found. One actually declared that Mary Magdalene and Jesus Christ were married. Earlier Gospels have no resurrection, and that Jesus did not die on the cross. So what I'm saying, I know you said at the start that controversial, we don't want to be too controversial, but it's truthful.
Yes, and I do understand that. And for those listeners who have down one path and have been through, maybe we might call it dictation or dogma throughout our history, from school age, if you like, with great respect to them, I do understand. And unfortunately, with all of us, and none of us are immune to it, through our maybe peer pressures and ancestors, depending on It has been dictated to us through generation to generation to generation. And that's what we are today. What about when we come to a situation in our lives where it doesn't resonate with us? And it becomes controversial, if you like, since we mentioned that. We have a choice. How do we embark on that choice?
I mean, how do we embark on looking for spirituality?
Yes.
The first thing you do is to ask in your mind. The next thing you do is to sit down in nature. Just be quiet. Just go to somewhere away from the hustle bustle of everyday life, and the stuff that it tells you must do, like, you know, possessions and all the rest. Just detach yourself from that. Go in the woods, go in the forest, and just early one morning, just sit there and contemplate the universe, and contemplate the animals around you and nature and all the wonderful things and creatures that we share the planet with, and just let your mind go, and you will find that the religion with its stories of heaven and hell and demons and all that sort of thing just isn't right, and lots of stuff will come your way. And of course, seek spirituality with people who already are spiritual. Seek them out, go and see, ask them questions, ask them what they know, how they know it, and why, and what happened with them. But it's important to remember that each person must find their own path. They mustn't be dictated to like they are with religion. You know, you must, if you've got to be this, you must have groupthink, you must do the same as us, you must think the same as us, and you must believe the same as us. Because that's not what spirituality is all about. It's all about a state of knowing that you acquire by your own hands and by your own mind.
Now, there's going to be listeners who said, well, or say, or think perhaps, that religion has been with us for many, many years. Spirituality, the new word, may be New Age.
It certainly is, because over the last 2,000 odd years, religion has ruled in one form or another. I mean, on the planet at the moment there are 300 religions rampaging across the planet, controlling people's lives. But before that, when Jesus was actually around with Mary Magdalene, it was spirituality. It was all about living a good life, being kind, being compassionate, you know, and you don't need anything else. You certainly, I mean, Jesus himself said in one of the earlier Gospels that didn't make it to the Bible, you don't need churches, you don't need temples as they were called then, you know. And he said, if you want to find me later on, and this was in the Gospel, one of the Gospels that was discovered later, if you want to find me, don't go in a temple, I'm not there. Break open a piece of wood, sit in a garden, there you'll find me, because there you will link with the universal energies, there you will link with the energies that are really there.
Yeah, and that's a nice plug, universal energies, thank you very much.
Oh, sorry. Well, that's what it's all about.
It is.
Yeah, it's the energy
I
of the
quite
universe.
agree. When we come to this point in our lives where we make this choice, no matter what age we are, maybe it's a case that we don't want to rock any boats, we don't want to upset anybody, or maybe it's a case that we've relinquished a situation of fear. What do you think?
Well, religion is built on fear. You must agree and you must be subservient, or else you'll go to hell. And when I was really young, I felt it really strange that this God of love, my grandma had a thing on the wall that said, God is love. And yet, you know, you get one crack, according to the Bible, you get one crack at being good, or into the fire you go, for eternity. I mean, what's that all about? How can that possibly be right? And that bugged me for a long, long time. And that's the fundamental flaw of religion, is that if God is love, why is he so downright nasty to people? Why do you get one crack, one shot? And of course you don't. We live many lives. But religion will tell you that you only live once. But I was told once in spirit, why is it that religion thinks you can be born once, but not again?
Well, I think you may have hit it on the head right earlier on when you put it under the umbrella of control.
Very much so.
Because if we go back to the first Pope and things, we know what happened there. We go back to the Knights of the Templars, we know what happened there, because they were for the people and the churches took over this situation because they needed the control. And that's what, so when you mention that nicely, you brought it onto there, but that's an individual person's way of thinking. When they get to a point, and we go back to what we were saying before, when they make up their own minds, then what I was trying to get to was that, is there somewhere initially they could find solace and understanding without being biased of any kind of religion, spirituality, or any beliefs or faiths?
That's a tough one. I think, first of all, people have really got to question what religion is all about, and that is why I wrote the book Buried by the Church, because I went right back to 10,500 BC at the building of the pyramids, and that was when it all started, because the pyramids are much older than Egyptologists would have you believe. And that's what Jesus was after, and that's why he was in Egypt, and that's why, or how he came to meet Mary Magdalene, who turned out to, they turned out late to get married, because he was seeking the astronomer priests who knew all about spirituality and all about life and what it's all about, and that's what Jesus was seeking. And everybody, I think, has, but they don't have to, but if they want to progress, they should seek it.
I agree, I quite agree. And at the back of my mind, we're talking about Egyptology in Egypt and that era now, and I do know over 10,000 pre-Dystinic area in there. Yes, I do understand that. But having said that, it's a case of that when people do get to maybe understanding that their thoughts are not the same as everybody else's, what I was trying to get to is once they're in a group, it's very hard to be that single person and move off. Maybe whatever it is there, but I do think that you get isolated if you're not careful and you don't actually believe or go along with everybody else's thought, and that's life.
You have to go along with that. You have to say, well, this is me now, and I don't believe in that because I don't want to just have faith anymore. I want to have this state of knowing that these people appear to have, and I want to know more about these universal energies and the energy of nature and of everything else, and I want to be certain that that's right, and I want to be part of it. And it's not easy to break free of the group, because that's what the group encourages. Religion as a group encourages groupthink. It's downright necessary to be part of that groupthink, and to break away is probably one of the hardest things you could do, and yet it's the most crucial, it's the most important thing you could ever do, is to break away from that, because religion has it entirely wrong. So I would urge everybody to if they want to be brave and break away from that religion. And you don't have to do it immediately. You could still go to the church, but you could spend some time in nature and start, I'm not saying tree hugging, but sit in nature.
Why not?
Well, you can have tree.
I like tree hugging.
Oh yeah, tree hugging is great. You can sit in nature. I mean, when I used to sit in nature, first of all, I used to go in there about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning in the summer, where it was really, beautiful and quiet. And the creatures that come to you, if you're calm and relaxed and you feel positive and you just want answers, they will come to you. And the creatures will come to you. I had a deer, I had badgers, all sorts coming close to me. And I thought, you know what, there's something more than this religion malarkey. And it's all about energy. Because the scientists will tell you that everything is energy. This tree, if it's real, is energy. Yep. Everything is built up of energy. And I think there'll come the day when spirituality and science will agree, but religion and science never will, because there's not this heaven above and this hell below. I mean, that's far too narrow a concept. The universe is immense, and there are many universes, and it's all built of love and light and compassion.
I think we're very naive if we think we are the only people here in the universe that can walk, talk, breathe and all the rest of it.
Very much so, very much so.
But there's a lot of people that do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, bad names are pushed around by just the 3 letters UFO, because they think little green men with things coming out of their heads and eyes on them, which we know is the thing of fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, I go into UFOs in the book, and of course we're made to ridicule it, we're taught to ridicule it. Even if there's a sighting of a UFO on the news, you'll find the newsreaders and the newscasters will all laugh and joke about it, because that's the way society has taught them to be. But if you think there are 70,000 million suns like our sun in the known universe, each, or probably most of them with planets spinning around them, to say that we're the only planet with life on is naive, to say the least. And there are lots of planets out there with life on, in various stages of evolution.
I could talk to you all day, Neil, but time is getting on. So what we're going to do, I'm going to ask you one last question, and that is that if there is a God, and we have put a name on this person, and whatever religious beliefs you believe in, and whatever name you call him, whether it's Jehovah, Muhammad, Buddha, or whatever we connect with, what purpose does he serve in this life for us here?
The purpose that he serves in this life is control. Because I'm interested that you say him. When I do talks, I often tell a joke that says, when God created man, she was only joking. Because it does help to knock the idea that everything has to be male. And that's the thing with the church. It's very male orientated. God the Son, God the Father, God the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
It's very male orientated, but in spirit there is no male and female. Male and female is only about procreating the species. It's keeping these bodies going. I am not this body. I am the energy that keeps this body going. It's as simple as that. Whether I be born as a male or a female would make no difference to my spirituality. And that's, I could still be as spiritual and say as much stuff if I was female as if I was male. And that's where the church has got it all wrong as well, because they don't like female priests, they don't like female vicars. Why not? It's only the body that spirit, that wonderful spirit inhabits. The body itself is nothing to do with it whatever. The body is there to procreate the species. That's all we do with the body. We'll leave the body behind. Next time we come back, we might come back as something else, because we are eternal immortal beings living multiple lifetimes. Each lifetime adding to the love and the compassion that we hope to be able to achieve in that life. When we come, we have no idea of the previous lives we've led. It's all afresh and we have no idea about anything like that. But it's what we do, and it's the life we pick that would give us the most chances to do what we want to do. Sometimes we fail. No judgment at the end of it.
No.
No judgment.
I do think judgment, we're prone to judgment because we've been taught that judgment from the doctrines of the churches as we go along. Last question, and that is in the form of, because you've mentioned male society dominated through the church, do you think that that's where the passion has come from within our lives, and we're now changing things round? But if we go back 50 years, there was still the situation when it was male dominance.
I think it is changing. I think even the church is beginning to admit that they were wrong on not allowing the females to do things. But you see, this is the thing that should make people see, because spirituality is the truth, and it will be the truth forever, and it will never change. The fact that religion can change its dogma and its doctrine means that it wasn't right in the first place. They're all rules made by man. It's like marriage, it's a man-made rule.
Yes, I agree.
You know?
I agree.
So long as you live life in love and compassion, you won't go far wrong. You won't go far wrong. But getting back to the thing you were saying about, is this God male, and who is this God, and what is this God? This God is the energy of the universe. It's not a God, it's the supreme energy of the universe, and it's all about love and compassion. It's not about hell, it's not about demons. And there are lots of spirits that haven't passed back, that are on earth still, and they are stuck in negativity because they can't see the spiritual world, and some of us can see them. We're the ones who can help them, but we won't help them by getting a Catholic priest to perform an exorcism. They need to be found and light in light and love, and they need to be moved on. That's all.
Well, thank you very much, Neil. I hope,
Thank
listeners, you've really enjoyed it as much as I have. We've got a great treat for you next, not as though we haven't had a treat today, but we'll have a great treat for you next Tuesday, the 3rd episode. I'm going to invite Mr. John Goodluck and his wife. They are an international folk singer, but he's also very much into Mother Earth and the pagan situation that is around there. Remember that we call people pagans who believe in the understanding that before Christianity came along, they were giving offerings to things and gods that they thought that they needed. The earth, the water, the fire, the crops, the fertility that keep them alive and their community prospering. We don't do it today because we call them pagans and we don't think that. But we'll get their understanding, and we should also hear their music too. And I'm really looking forward to it because I might be doing a bit of jamming with them too. So until we meet again, I will see you next Tuesday. Goodbye.